The scourge of truck accidents in KwaZulu-Natal has claimed many lives and left families devastated. Last month alone, about 55 accidents were reported in the province, and one of those involved 6 family members who were killed near Umzimkhulu after a truck crashed into their car. With the festive season fast approaching, drastic measures are expected to be put in place in order to save lives on KZN's roads. Now, eNCA reporter, senior reporter Dasen Thathiah has more on this. He's joining us now live, but he's inside a truck. I don't know where he's headed to, whether he's coming up to Gauteng or he's going downhill to Durban. He'll tell us now. Good afternoon, Dasen. What's happening?
Oh, Braden, just to answer your first question, we are in one of those trucks that is currently going to be delivering a load in the Escort area. So we are on the N3. You'll see that the roads are fairly quiet at the moment. This is a route that many of the trucks take. You'll see if you had to take a trip on this road, you know that it's guaranteed that you would see a number, hundreds if not thousands of trucks that are traveling. That is because it is such an important economic route. But you touched on a very important point in your intro, and that is the discussion around the accidents that are taking place. But before I get to that, let me first show you the driver of this truck. This is Ismail Khan. I mean, in his capable hands, he's been driving for about 34 years. He's going to be joining me shortly to discuss some of these experiences, or his experiences, and what is needed for someone to operate a machine as big as this. So although I'm no expert, certainly no expert in the trucking industry, I can tell you what I've learned so far is that this particular vehicle that we are traveling in now has about 31 tons behind it. That's the cargo that is traveling here. It's coffee beans, I'm told, that is being delivered. So that should give you also a sense of exactly how heavy this truck is. That's not even counting the 20 tons of the front of the truck. So that also tells you that when there is an accident, there's a lot of weight that is moving on these roads, and especially if you're traveling in a light motor vehicle, that is almost always going to end badly, which is why it is that important for the person who's controlling this vehicle to be in charge of it and know what he's doing. You mentioned a family of 6 that passed away. So severe is this problem that just last week we were working on a very detailed feature talking about the carnage that we are seeing on the roads as a result of trucks. And while working on that accident that you're talking about happened. It involved the Tenza family. They were near Umzimkhulu. Their vehicle, and a Toyota Avanza, was struck by a truck, and all 6 of them passed away. And that's just one of the many accidents that we've been seeing. And it's gotten to a point now where it's reached crisis proportions, and most players in the industry are saying something similar. They're saying that drastic action needs to be taken. It's not simply a matter of putting more police officers on the roads or having more vehicles that are monitoring these trucks. It comes down to either A, self-regulation, or B, looking at other means like legislation. So before I get into a conversation with our driver here, Ismail Khan, I want you to listen to what the CEO of the Bakers Group, Abdul Tayyib, had to say to me. And in his words, it is this simple to solve this problem. Let's listen to part of that interview that I conducted with him last week.
The correct way to do it is to have, firstly, the parameters of what is RTMS, the Road Traffic Management System, which is in place, which I talk self-regulatory. Having those parameters as base, that's priority. Then you add a productivity to say, okay, within that, this is what I want you to do. What happens now? I need you to rush and productivity first. RTMS is not there. And really safety rules are not there completely. In some side parts of the energy, you look at fuel. The fuel companies stipulate and say, you have to drive this time, you have to follow RTMS. So that's a consignee. And that's the reason we don't have so much. If you look at that, and I'm sure if you go to the stats, tankers having an issue. And that's a proof of the pudding right now. You could go and take those stats out, and you go other sides of the world, you see sometimes a tanker blow up and what have you. Yes, some uncontrollables do happen, and God forbid that, but I'm saying from what we can control, and that is where it lies. So most definitely
tankers at the moment.
Massively.
And that's why we don't
and that the consignee are telling you of, that's the guy that puts the fuel on the road, says you have to do this. I would audit you every time, and this I'll be at your depot at least twice a year, And RTMS talks to that. So we need a system like that for the whole industry, freight across the board, anything over 3,500 Ks. This is the driver fitness. I think we have it. RTMS, we have it already. It's signed off. People have done the hard work. The principles are there. You've got the consigning legislation. I just want to reiterate that it's there. You don't have to build it. Yeah. It's about enforcing it. It's about signing into legislation and watch the magic of economy benefit, carnage down, savings of lives.
Well, Braden, so that was one of the suggestions, talking about self-regulation, and that also means companies need to be compliant. Let me now bring in Ismail Khan. He drives for the same group of companies. Ismail, I just want to talk to you about, firstly, the safety features. There are a lot of safety features on this truck, but let's take it back to basics. Before we get to any of the lane assist and the cameras and all of that, what is it that you've learned in your time on the road that a driver needs to have? What are the characteristics to ensure that you are safe, the cargo is safe, motorists are safe, and you get to your destination in one piece?
Yeah, I think that's the key thing here is training, driver training. I think that's where most of our companies are lacking. If we introduce driver training to the company, surely the carnage will go down on the roads. I think we need to start there with the training side of it. Coming back to the technology, you'll notice that I'm actually driving an Actros now. It's a Euro 5 RE spec. It's this vehicle is something else. If the driver is not trained to drive this vehicle, we're going to have problems on the road. So training again it's needed.
When you look at a vehicle like this, it also speaks to the compliance and regulating yourselves. What does it do, or what is the new technology that can protect the motorists on the road from within this truck?
Okay, at the moment you'll notice I'm driving with the proximity control on. This thing allows the vehicle it keeps the distance between the vehicle in front of you. It allows rear-end collisions. Where the driver is tired, well, he's not supposed to be tired on the road. If he's fatigued, and this will avoid the accidents. It's one of the features, the safety features on these vehicles.
And there's also a permanent monitoring, right? I saw a camera here, so it means your control room can see what you're doing and what's happening on the roads.
Okay, yes, this is an in-house camera. It's called the Mobile Eye. So this is benefiting the driver. For me, it benefits me a lot. If there's an incident that occurs, we can go back and refer to the camera. And then most of the time, professional drivers don't have issues. Where we have issues with other motorists, we can review the camera and understand what really went wrong if there's ever an issue on the road.
Sure. Thank you very much for your time, Ismail Khan. Prateek, just one very important point, and I think it's what Ismail touched on, professional drivers. Because what we've also learned is that there are many that are operating in this industry that are doing it unprofessionally, so to speak, and they call them these unscrupulous operators. And that seems to be part of the problem. But we'll discuss this more later on this afternoon.